Okay. Okay. All right. She's good. Good. Okay. All right, everyone. Good afternoon. It of Career Week. Being with us all was of intern manager, their experience, internship, their organizations that work. Open it up. Questions. And feel free to drop. But we're so first introduce what organization and get started. Yeah.
Okay. Pennsylvania. The organization who was unable to. She provides opportunities for students across the Commonwealth. We have roughly about 400 teams from about 175 high schools, about 2,000 high school students that compete in our events. We provide really a governance and oversight structure for high school esports in the Commonwealth. And we rely heavily on the relationship here with HU and its students to provide us some support for our competitions and for the management of our organization. So we're very proud to be here today and to talk about what we do and how important interns are for our organization.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Demetria Zakis. I'm here with Phoenix Contact. I am a recruiter and intern development manager. Our internship program is quite robust, and every year we are adding more. So we are in all departments, HR, IT, engineering. We are an engineering company, so mostly engineering. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Hitzko. I'm the Director of Engineering at CASE, C-A-E-S, not C-A-S-E. We are an aerospace and defense company. Our location is in Lancaster, but we do have locations elsewhere around the country. There's a large one out in Lansdale near Philly, one up in Boston area, a couple out in California, around the country. We primarily, in Lancaster, we are working on mostly what's called flight instrumentation and flight safety. We deal with electronics that go into missiles and space flight and UAS, unmanned aircraft, drones, primarily for the aerospace and defense industry. We call it like a little pocket of rocket science that actually happens in Lancaster that people don't even realize we're doing. But it's pretty exciting work. And we do have a pretty robust internship program. We regularly have 4 to 5 interns during the summer, and during the spring and fall semesters we have like right now we have 3 interns as well. So we have a pretty steady pipeline the whole all year round, as well as the other locations if anybody's interested in that. I'm also on faculty here at HU.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Patrick Shockey. I am the division director for data analytics at Naval Sea Logistics Center right across the river in Mechanicsburg. So my team, my little tiny team, has mathematics, statisticians, engineers, and computer science majors all on the same team. Throughout the rest of our individual command, we have lots of engineers, and we have lots of computer science and cyber security individuals. I'm here today to talk about the internship program that's available across the Department of the Navy under the Office of Naval Research. It has opportunities all the way across the United States, and we'll get into that more later. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Bailey. Sorry, I'm like facing the back of you guys, but I work with Eurofins, and Eurofins is a global scientific company that focuses on scientific testing. So that could range from soil testing to drug testing, really anything that is related to testing, we do that. And I did mention we're a global company, so there's lots of different labs all across the United States and in other countries. The one that I work with is in Lancaster, though, so not too far from here.
Awesome. Well, many of our students still think that when they do their internship that they are going to be getting coffee and making copies for their managers at their internship. So I would love for each of you just to describe a little bit about an overview of how your internship program is structured and what are the key components and phases that students can expect to go through, because we want our students to try to understand that that's not all the experiences at their internship. I know many of you are shaking your head here on the panel, so if you could explain a little bit more about that. So if anyone wants to jump in, you can. Patrick, it looks like you're ready to go.
We'll start in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, for the Navy, no, you might actually have, as part of your internship, yes, you might have to sit in on an executive level meeting or so so you can gain awareness of big decisions that have to be based off of your research, your work, other people's research, and other people's work. But generally speaking, no, you're going to be working on real projects that affect real things. Generally, an internship program in any of the many labs across the Department of the Navy are going to have, you'll get onboarded, you'll make sure that you get your clearance if required. Some of them, security clearance is required. You'll meet up with your team, and you'll start getting shadowed work on real projects going on right now. The project could be about designing safety into a crane system that goes on board a ship, or it could be into modeling failure rates on a radar system, or it could be, depending on the location and depending on the area, it could be a variety of things. Some of it's very engineering, some of it's very computer science, some of it's very mathematics. So you could experience all kinds of things. The phases, the rest of the phases, there's phases before. First, do your homework and think about what you want to do and what kind of experience you want to have. And then go to the intern website site, which I can share a little bit later, and choose a site that matches your interests. For those of you who are fully hybrid and or fully remote for your school, there's a grand chance that there is a location near you that is looking for an intern. Apply. Mm-hmm. It is competitive. So think about your application. Then it's the internship itself. There will be an onboarding process, as I said. And afterwards, there will be a phase-out period where you're also going to expect to provide feedback to us about things that we should have learned while you were here. Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Brian?
Thanks. So I wanted to jump in on this one because it's kind of funny, because last summer we actually had an intern from HU last summer, and within the first week that she came in with four of the other interns from other schools, we just happened to be undergoing a process where we were doing an inventory in our company. Now, this was not just an intern project, this was a all hands on deck. So people had the lovely task of counting electronic components one by one. So the interns all got thrust into this, and we were trying to immediately tell them this is not a normal intern thing. This is everybody doing this terrible job, and we're all in it together. But thankfully it only lasted a few days. But overall, our intern program is set up such that you will be essentially assigned to a mentor engineer for that period of time as kind of who you're going to shadow, and depending on the interest or study areas that you may have, there may be multiple. So if you're interested in computer science or specifically like electrical engineering or mechanical engineering or whatever area discipline you might be interested in, or sometimes it's multiple, we may kind of split up the path during the course of the internship. And then also what we do is we have interns work together on a project during the course of that internship period. So during the summer, we had 4 interns. They all worked on a particular piece of equipment that flew on a drone. So we have a very large drone that we fly test equipment on, and they had to build the electronics and the mechanical housing and packaging to be able to fly this very expensive electronics. So they were responsible because there was a mechanical engineer, there were 2 electrical engineers, and a computer science major that we had last year, and so we had something for everybody. It was great. And at the end of the summer, they got to mount the stuff onto their hardware, and we all crossed our fingers and watched it fly. And it did, and it was really great, and they were able to take that back with them. So that was a really good experience. And then we try to do that every year.
So one of the unique things about us is we are a very small operation. We are a full-time staff of 1 and a board of maybe 13 folks. And so we rely heavily on our interns to supplement the work that we're doing. And thankfully, the esports management program here at HU provides a direct conduit to students who are interested in what we're doing and who we can lean on for advice and for, their opinions, because it is such a new industry. And so always looking for, our interns are thrown right in. They help to manage our leagues. They help to manage our competitions. They're on our Discord. They're answering questions. They're talking to the esports program advisors at every high school. They're solving problems. They're also then advising us on how we can do a better job at what we're doing. So for us, it is vital as a nonprofit to have interns that are passionate about the work that we're doing and then can jump right in and support us and even make our entity better. And that's what we're always looking for.
Awesome. Thank you.
So at Phoenix Contact, our interns are really considered like full-time employees. So you're going to be doing projects that affect real customers. It does depend on the internship, but essentially you have all the resources that full-time employees have, and you have the support of a manager and a mentor, as well as myself. And the team that you're working with, they're there to support you as well. So our structure is very similar to a lot of our friends up here, but you are working on real projects.
So Eurofins targets several different schools and partners with their programs to identify and connect students to their preferred area of study, ultimately where they will see a future. And our training program provides a variety of different departments with specific areas that target specific type of testing, which is great, especially if you're earlier in your career and you're not sure what kind of testing you want to be doing. And a unique fact about Eurofins, Eurofins also hires about 85% of their interns, which is great. Typically, you go into an associate level or an associate scientist level position, and it's great because you're working with a long-term company, and we really value growth.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Demetra, you alluded to this. So many of the students, they get to do the experience, they're doing this project work, but sometimes they're wondering, am I going to be mentored? Are there resources available for me? Are you going to expect me to know everything whenever I am at my internship? So can any of you just allude to a little bit more highlighting about the resources and mentorship component of an internship, and that it's okay that you're not an expert, they understand that you're a student?
Sure, I'll start off. So at Phoenix Contact, like I said, you are assigned a mentor and a manager. So your mentor is who you work with on a daily basis. That is going to be, hand in hand, you're working with them consistently. Your manager oversees your progress of the entire program, and they're also there to support you. So typically the manager is someone who is higher up. That can be someone who is a manager level or higher, so sometimes VPs as well. And then your mentor is someone who is kind of mid-level in their career. HR is always there to support you. So as the intern program manager and also as a recruiter, I kind of bridge that gap between internship and full-time opportunities. So you have the support of not only your team, which is made up of your mentor, manager, and whoever is in that department, but you also have me that can help you throughout the process and also looking at full-time opportunities once you've successfully completed our internship program.
Awesome, thank you.
So one thing that we do, or this is like the one part that I really get hands-on, and as soon as the interns come in, we will talk to them and figure out, first of all, what coursework have they completed to that point and what interests them up to that point. So, whether you're second year, third year, makes a big difference in terms of what you've experienced academically and experientially at that point. So also understanding that to make sure everyone on the team gets the context, as well as what are they looking forward to? What are they looking into? What are their interests? Because as an electrical computer engineer that I am, I remember when I started my internship with the government many years ago. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to design chips. That's what I wanted to do as a computer engineer. I wanted to design chips. I did my internship. I came out and I wanted to get into communications. All right, so I went and took a course in communications my senior year just to be able to learn that stuff, and that's what I ended up doing for my career. So understanding from those interns what might interest them or what gaps they feel like they might want to get exposed to has been really beneficial. There was one of our interns 2 years ago came in as an electrical engineer and said, "I know nothing about RF, radio frequency radios, but it's kind of cool." Well, I happen to have a world-class radio RF engineer I can pair you up with, and he went and worked with our RF engineer all summer and came out and he's like, "I want to go learn more about RF next year." So that's what he went off and did with his senior year. So really that kind of stuff. We're really trying to tailor the experience to not only the person but also their educational path.
Working with the government can be scary because that scary thing about knowing everything when you walk in is probably a pretty common thing for most of us. It was for me when I first applied, and that was for a job, not even an internship. One, for our interns, no, you don't need to know everything. What we want you to know is what you know already. What we want you to do is come with your enthusiasm and your interest. All right? Like I said earlier, we're working real problems. So, and because we're government, we don't have a profit. What we're looking to do is cut costs. Almost every one of our projects that we're dealing with is trying to get more capability for less, because taxes are a bad word. And that's our entire desire. So yes, bring your enthusiasm, bring your willingness to see change, and you'll be assigned somebody like me. I am not an HR person. I'm not. I'm a manager of a team of technologically savvy individuals, and we'll talk about the things that you're good at and how you can capitalize on those strengths, and how you can find new experiences to add to your little tool bag that you already have. Done.
So I would agree at Eurofins, we also do not expect you to come in knowing everything or anything at all, really. You could be junior or a sophomore, even a freshman sometimes. But all of our interns are assigned to work directly with a department and a team, and you will work alongside them and gain or foster a relationship with them, where you can then come back and continue working with them the next semester, even after you graduate. And during your internship, they offer the Q&A style with the directors of that organization, and the department managers, so that you can ask questions and help you decide what you want to focus on in that coming year. And they also like to do different bonding things, so they will go out, and I know that they've gone to baseball games together. Of course, they'll do bonding activities on site as well, but it's just about fostering that relationship and helping you decide what you want to do in your future.
Awesome. Sure.
And so again, I mentioned we are a staff of one, very small. So when we have an intern come in, we then become a staff of two, basically. So your mentor will be our executive director. And to reiterate, we don't expect our interns to know everything, but what we really would like is for our interns to not be afraid to share ideas or to mention to us, look, I think maybe if we do it this way. And then one, to not be discouraged if we don't take your advice, but the ability to provide and offer feedback, and to really immerse yourself, learning from Samantha, who is there, and then also the volunteers that we have, myself included, but to not be afraid to offer your own ideas and to really encourage the growth of our entity since we're so small. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think you come in there to learn and to get that hands-on experience. But I also know in good internship programs, in my day job, I'm in the government space. I'm a lobbyist. In my day job, I worked for the Pennsylvania House for 13 years, in the West Virginia legislature before that, and we relied heavily on interns as well. Again, to give them legislation to try to draft some legislation, but they're asking us questions. We're leaning on their experiences. They're getting mentored. It's a relationship, I think. So the relationship is what matters, to come in for you to learn, and then also for us to learn from you as well.
Awesome. All great insights. One of the unique things about HU is each and every one of our students has to do an internship, but also applied projects and some other experiential learning offerings that we have here. So many of our students don't realize at first that they can be standing out amongst their peers from other institutions when they're applying to these internships, because they're getting a lot of different skill sets while they're here at HU that they can showcase in their applications. So can you all shed some light into some of the qualities and skills that you look for in the prospective students when you're reviewing their applications, and any tips around your application process that you have?
So this is one of my favorite questions, because I like to be almost brutally honest when it comes to reviewing applications for interns as well as new grads. Everybody looks the same on paper. Okay, that's what everyone kind of needs to understand. How do you make yourself stand out? It's the projects. It's the team things that you've done during that time. How did you take advantage of the time and the opportunities that you had while you were doing your coursework? Everybody takes the same courses, right? Really, we all know that. So just listing up 50 courses that you took during the course of your educational career is great. What an employer such as myself is looking for is, what did you do with that time? How did you express yourself during that time? And sometimes that's not even necessarily a technical project. Right? Sometimes I want to see, what were you involved in? What drives you as a person? Even I'm an engineer through and through, but I'm also at heart, I'm a musician, right? I'm an educator. That stuff is where my passion lies. Engineering pays the bills. So that's what employers want to see. They want to see the person, not just the transcript.
So at Eurofins, we target candidates or students that have a high level of interest with medical device testing, biosafety, biochemistry, microbiology, cell and gene therapy, and other areas of study. And the way we hire interns is the same way we would hire full-time employees. So just make sure that you prepare your resume, outline any work history or any projects that you've worked on in school, and just anything that you have experience in a lab setting. We're just looking for someone who is willing to learn and get that hands-on experience.
If you like esports, we're looking. I mean, again, we come from a very different perspective. We're small. Said that a bunch of times, but I think for us, we lean heavily on Harrisburg University's esports management program, the professors, and the esports club. I know we've had a few of our interns. I think we've had 4 interns from Harrisburg University in the last 2 years. Again, we do it by season, and they've been recommended to us from their peers. So the esports program, the esports club here, as well as the course of study, we lean heavily on that. So we don't really have an application process as much as we are introduced to students who are interested. We vet them through interviews, and then we look to bring those folks on. So again, a little different perspective, but I think we are also looking for students that are passionate about what we're doing, so that we can really tailor their experience while getting the most out of them for our success. It's really kind of the trade-off. One example, we were very heavily on Discord for our high schools, and we were raided. For those that don't know, we had a blitz of some inappropriate things that came into our Discord by some outgoing seniors from a school, and it was our interns were the first to flag it because my watch is going off with all these Discord messages, but our interns were the first to flag it, the first to shut things down, the first to kind of control the situation, and then they came to us and said, "What do we do now? Who do we have to contact? What schools? Who are we going to hold accountable?" So that was key for us to neutralize the threat so that our reputation wasn't impacted, and it was all because of 2 interns that we had monitoring Discord for us, or just because they're very interested. They want to answer the questions for the high school, so they're constantly being notified of the messages coming through Discord, and they were quick to shut it down. They researched what do we do, they shut it down, and we were able to, it was about maybe 5 minutes of all from first attack to the end. It was about 5 minutes, and they were able to shut it all down. So that's critical for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill.
So at Phoenix Contact, really all that you need to do in order to apply is just to be an active student. So as long as you're an active student, and I know at Harrisburg University you do have the requirement to have an internship, so that is something that you can also let us know when you're applying. If your requirement is to have an internship program, that's going to be important for us to fulfill that goal for you. So essentially our process right now, we are looking for 2024 spring and summer interns. So we post kind of like a year in advance or 1 to 3 semesters ahead. So you want to apply right now. It's very competitive. We typically have about 800 to 1,000 applicants per posting. So like he said, on paper, a lot of you are going to look the same. So how we do it is we look through all the resumes, obviously make sure your resume stands out, put all the projects that you've completed, and really show us what you've done with your time. Once we have gone through your resume, we're going to move everybody forward that we're interested in and have you do a video interview. That video interview is actually something that you do on your own time, so it's about 1 minute to 2 minutes of introducing yourself. We want to see your personality. We want to know who you're going to be and what you're going to bring to the team. We want to see your passion in what you're doing really come through that video. And the manager and mentor that you would be working with is going to review that video. And then from there, we have you meet virtually with them. And that's our process. So it's really only 3 steps: apply, video interview, and meet with your manager and mentor, and then we'll make a decision.
Awesome.
Trying to think about this. For our process, it's almost most of it's all online for the Naval Research Enterprise Internship Program. There's a lot of words because the military loves acronyms. Okay, just to give you a heads up. It is online. You'll be able to select up to 3 locations that you'd like to apply for. Look at the locations, see if they have opportunities or interests that are aligned with yours. Apply for it. What happens next is that you'll have that time to that location will get your application, and this is what they're going to be looking for. Yes, your transcripts are important. I'm sorry. It is extremely competitive. Over 1,000 applications get received every year. Somewhere between 4 to 6% get of the applications get approved. Okay, that might change a little bit because there's some new labs, like right there in Mechanicsburg, where we haven't had an application yet. We weren't part of the list, so we don't know what the application level is going to look like. Generally, 4 to 6% approval rate. Yes, your transcript's important. The other part that's important is, as he mentioned before, how did you use your time here? Really, in your application, in your personal statement, because the application is actually a personal statement and then your references. In your personal statement, how did you use your time here? What clubs did you were part of? How did you, not just were you part of a club, what did you contribute? What did you do? How did you make change? How did you apply the skills that you already have? And some of them are soft skills. How did you communicate? You know what's really bad on my team is when I get a person who says they're a data analyst, but they cannot communicate the things that they find. Communication's a big soft skill, and unfortunately, those of us who are in technical fields, we forget that talking is needed. So do add that to your resume, do add that to your application, and when you get your references, yes, at least one of them should be your professors, at least one. Get a good write-up based off of what they know about you. And that's it.
Oh, Brian.
So I got to tee off on this one because I love it, because it something I tell every one of my students every time I start to the soft skills part. You can't echo that enough. Build your soft skills. I was a terrible undergrad student, really bad, shockingly bad, and when I got hired into the government, years later, as I was actually leaving the government, going into industry, the guy who hired me, I happened to be talking to, and he's like, "Brian, I'm really proud of you. I'm so glad I hired you. Do you know why I hired you?" "No, Bob, why?" He goes, "You know it wasn't your GPA." And I said, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "Because you said you were a bartender." I was a bartender when I was in high school and college. And he's like, "That means you knew how to deal with people and problems." Right? So that's how I got to there. And that's how I progressed through my career, because I was a bartender. It wasn't because I was the greatest student. Being a great student helps. Trust me, it helps. It helps a lot. It helps you get through that first gate. But soft skills are super important.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I'm glad that you mentioned, each and every one of you mentioned how that project work, some of these extracurricular activities that you're doing here at HU. So I know a couple of you have some club things going on tomorrow evening that you're doing and throughout the weekends. That's all these awesome things that these 5 and then other employers are looking for. And especially our students have the opportunity, compared to other schools, we have 8 core competencies that are really important to us in what we do. Some of you in the room know that I joke that these competencies don't go away, and Patrick and Brian just proved that. So your communication skills, teamwork and collaboration, being able to problem solve. Bill mentioned with the interns seeing the stuff that was going on in Discord. Ethical decision making. How can we be ethical to make sure that the integrity of our company is going to stay intact? So these are all things that we focus on at HU that you can continue to enhance through your internships. So thank you all so much for your insight with that. So I know many of you have mentorship, coaching, but sometimes you may have the opportunity to network. maybe go to an event. Or Demetria, you just had a big event at your organization where folks could network a little bit on the other day. So I would love to hear from each of you, possibly, are there opportunities to network and continue to cultivate that relationship with your mentor or some other full-time employees or other interns?
Yes, so Phoenix Contact actually just celebrated our 100 years of business last Saturday. So we started in 1923 in Germany, so it's very exciting. But that is also a family day that we do every year. So interns are allowed to come to our family day and bring their families as well. So you guys can, come and join us. We have games and events. We do this often. Phoenix Contact is very employee-centric, and we include our interns in everything like we do our full-time employees. So I just took over the program, so I'm still pretty new to it. But we are trying to do many different networking events, as well as allowing our interns to come to anything that the company is hosting. So we do have an intern Microsoft Teams group that all the interns can communicate with each other on a daily basis, as well as ask any questions. So that's a great way to network with other interns. And then as far as company-wide, like I said, we do a lot of different events. Next week we have a pumpkin painting event, so you can go there and chat with a VP who might be painting a pumpkin. You never know what kind of events we have. We have tie-dye events, things like that. But essentially every day you're working with different people and different projects. So depending on the business needs, you could be networking with anybody in the company, lower level to higher level. There's networking in every way. And a lot of our interns will also connect with everybody via LinkedIn, which is a great way to stay in contact with current employees. Even if they leave, that could be a great opportunity for you as well to see where they go and continue that networking on through your career.
We are very event-based, and we are partnership-based. So a lot of our events and a lot of the competitions that we host, we actually have partnerships with folks in the esports industry. We partnered with Nerd Street Gamers in Philadelphia, and so our interns were there working with the folks at Nerd Street to be able to put some streams of our games, to be able to do the in-person event that we held in Philadelphia. There's a company out in Pittsburgh called Looking for Game, LFG. They hosted our in-person event in Pittsburgh, and our interns were there to help them set things up. We have relationships. We have our intern coming in has a marketing background, and so we've worked with companies like Kemper Lesnick, which is a massive marketing company out of Illinois. We have some local marketing folks that we've tapped into. So our networking is vast, and I think that's one of the things that we do kind of, maybe for being as small as we are, do have a wide net because it's such a new industry, and we look for those partnerships. We'll be working with the esports company out of Altoona, Johnstown. They are a Pennsylvania-based company that's been funded by the Ben Franklins. They have so we're going to be working with them in the spring. So our reach is vast when it comes to the networks that we have, again, because we are in such a new space. These partnerships are ideal. We're working with NASIF. We're going to have a partnership with NASIF, a partnership with HSEL, the High School Esports League. We're looking at communications with NACE, and we're looking at communications with Collegiate Star League and a lot of these partnerships. So we rely on those partnerships, and our interns have full access to everybody that we're talking to. And then our board, again, of volunteers, we have legislators, we have school board officials, we have teachers, we have some folks from the PIAA who are on our board, and our interns are participating in our board meetings. So again, our network is pretty far.
So for Eurofins, most of the networking that students will get will be through the job fairs that we do and things like this. But we also rely heavily on LinkedIn. As Demetria mentioned earlier, it's a great way to connect with people. And we also use Handshake. I'm not sure if you guys do use that, so that's great. Even if you're just applying and maybe we don't have something for you right away, it is a good way to just get your name out there, and then we can connect on LinkedIn or just keep you informed with other job openings. And then, of course, within the company, once you are a employee, we do offer different events for employees that are fun outside of your everyday work.
Awesome.
So in terms of networking at Case, we're a relatively small facility. We got between probably about 40 or so engineers, 40 to 50 engineers, and about 100 or so operations staff, and about 50 support management staff. So within the organization, we're relatively flat. So that part of it, in terms of networking, like I'll be in as the head of engineering, I'll be in design reviews with interns. Like I'll be sitting right next to an intern talking about what's going on. So that from that perspective, everyone's kind of at the same footing and dealing with each other at the same level, which is great. And then outside of that, we try to give them opportunities to interact with either customers or folks from other Case sites. So pretty often, probably once every week or two, there's somebody coming in either from a customer site. We deal with the big primes, the Lockheeds, Boeings, Raytheons, BAE, Northrop Grumman, everybody, SpaceX, Relativity Space, everybody you can imagine in the missiles and rockets world. They're coming in, and we bring our interns right in with us to have these conversations, whether it's technical or managerial. At least they get that face time and the understanding of what not just the technical part of what we're doing, but also the business part and what the customers are dealing with, and sometimes in some cases our vendors.
From the government side, networking can be a little bit weird. One, internally within the Department of Navy, what you're seeing a lot more is collaboration. So there are opportunities to collaborate, at least within the government, to actually see how the rest of everybody else who's supposed to be working together really should work together. That's the first part. Next part is there are opportunities to meet industry members. There are opportunities to meet Raytheon. There are opportunities to meet BAE and Northrop Grumman and talk with engineers and data analysts and computer scientists who are in similar but slightly different career paths. Much to the chagrin of some of my fellow government employees, they actually don't make use of those networking opportunities. So I'm going to give you a hint here. Pay attention. Make the best of it. Because even if, let's suppose that you're crazy like myself and decide to actually work for the government, those relationships are extremely important because the real work of most of what gets done in government is actually designed and built by our private industry partners. And if you don't develop the relationships and don't network properly, then you're going to have a hard road in front of you in government. But otherwise, even if you don't, then you have those people who can vouch and say, you know what, I worked with you. Yeah, I'll sign your reference. I'll be there for you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. I am glad that each and every one of you referenced about the power of networking. I know this week we're really trying to do that with you all, bringing these folks here to campus throughout the week. Yesterday, career fair, students were networking, but I know for me, when I did my internship, I had a special project, very similar to what these five said that they get to do at their internship programs. But I worked with a group of interns, and I still am in contact with them because they're my professional network. Now, as Patrick alluded to, they know how I can work on a group project. I've used them as a reference now as I've applied to different roles. So use the network around you, even in this room. I know some of you, you have your close friends, you're working on projects with them. That's your network. Start here. Start with your faculty. Start with our office. Follow those different employers that they mentioned on LinkedIn, Handshake, as Bailey mentioned. Great opportunity to continue to network as you're doing your internships. So a couple last questions here, and we're going to open it up to the audience. But I know some of you have shared a little bit of success stories around your interns. We would love to hear a little bit more about some of the success stories and the career paths of some of the former interns that you have. Like, have you hired them, kept them at your organization, or maybe they've gone on to some of these employer, partners that you've had. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about that. Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of to talk about with my current with Case. I've only been there for 3.5 years, and a year and a half of that was the mess of 2020. But in the last 2 years, we've been very successful. I think we've cycled through about 12, 15 interns within the last 2 years. When you're talking about an engineering organization, it's only 40 people. That's you're talking it's 30% of the staff. So a few of them have gone on to grad school that we've kept in touch with. One is now back for his 3rd semester. He's working part-time for us while he's still going to school because, 1, we really like him, and 2, he really likes us. So he's been cycling back, but kind of going back into and one other thing. So my current company I've been with for 3.5 years. I've been in industry for 25 years. So you build your network over your career, not with just one company. So, thinking back to previous employers that I've been with and other intern programs I've been with, I've seen great success of interns going in and being hired, either at that company or through that network. So it may not be coming back to work directly for us, but they might be like, hey, I got an offer with most of the times a competitor in the defense industry. Can you help? And that's been, I've probably written 5 letters of recommendation or 5 references over the course of the last 10, 15 years to my competitors so that my former intern can get a job there. So that's not unusual, especially as you build that network, build those relationships, and do good stuff. And it'll pay off in the end. Is there always a guaranteed seat when you get out of school? Not always, but sometimes there is. So take advantage of it when you can.
As I mentioned earlier, our designation as a naval lab at Mechanicsburg has just recently opened. But I do know of 2 interns who were direct hired after graduation in Keyport, Washington. Under an old internship program, I am still acquainted with and still work with an individual. She graduated from the internship program. She worked with our activity for a little while. She took a promotion at a different Navy agency, and then came back to work at our agency again. By the way, so she started out as an intern. She's paid more than me, by the way, right now. Okay. So, yeah, the internship program through the Navy can be extremely powerful and extremely useful. And I know several interns who also went on to work for industry contracts.
I was an intern with the government.
Awesome.
So at Eurofins, as I mentioned earlier, we do year over year usually hire 85% of our interns. So that's a great number. We also, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. But we,
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. One great thing about Eurofins, I'll just add, Bailey, we've had several HU students that have interned, and then they've been able to stay on while they're taking classes here even this fall, which has been a really great opportunity. So biotechnology, integrative science. So it's been a good opportunity. So thank you so much.
Since fall of 2022, when we had our first intern, we've seen one of our interns move on to NASIF. They're having an internship with NASIF. They're still in school. We don't have anyone who's graduated yet, I don't believe, who was one of our interns. But we do see our entity, our association, as a stepping stone to the field. The experiences you'll get with us will help you to then move on to larger organizations and maybe more specialized, whether it's Nerd Street or the esports company, which deal really with the technical side of it, not so much the governance side of it. But in general, internship programs are overwhelmingly valuable in getting that first job and getting in. Again, I worked for the legislature for most of my career. I'm a lobbyist now in my day job. But when we had interns, they were the first people we begged to provide us with their resumes when we had openings. It's critical. And so for folks who might not even be interested or might be interested, the Pennsylvania House has a great, it's called the PA House Fellowship. I talk about this a lot. We should have engineers writing engineer law, and we should have cybersecurity experts writing cybersecurity law. So please consider internships maybe within the legislative field as well, because your expertise is needed when we're looking at policies. So I'll just outside of esports. So.
Thank you.
So at Phoenix Contact, interns, like I said, are considered like full-time employees. You're not going and grabbing coffees for people. You're working on real projects 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for our summer interns. So essentially, we do offer part-time internships in the fall and spring as well. So you can work 20 hours to 25 hours a week, flexible with your school schedule, and then the summer is full-time. So that's a lot more robust. But we do have a lot of interns that will complete several years with us in multiple semesters. So we do ask you back if you are successful in our program. The more semesters you do or the more years you complete with us, the higher your chances are to get a role with us once you graduate. But even if you continue on to a master's degree program, we also will keep you in as an intern. So we actually have had interns that have been with us for 4 to 6 years. So you can start as a freshman and work your way up. And that experience is, you can't buy that kind of experience. That's incredible. So essentially, like I said, interns are considered our employees. So you're like an internal employee. When job postings go up for us at Phoenix Contact, all of our internals has 7 days earlier than the public to be able to see roles that are coming in. And as a recruiter myself, I can let you know of things that are coming down the line. So you kind of get an inside scoop and kind of a foot in the door. So I would say at this point, we're about 70 to 80% of our interns are getting hired for an entry-level role. Or there are instances where if you're so successful as an intern, we try to completely make a role up for you. So there is so many opportunities. Definitely network and use me as a resource so that you can go ahead and get a full-time position with us as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Demetria. Well, we want to open it up here in the next few minutes for the audience to ask some questions, but we just want to hear from the panelists. It doesn't have to be all of you, maybe a few of you. What's one final piece of advice that you'd give to our students as they're thinking about applying to internships over this next year and participating in their internship requirement while they're here with us at HU?
Sorry, guys, I am not a good public speaker, so I apologize for earlier. I wanted to add to that really quick and then answer her question. We do not like to turn away students and candidates at Eurofins. So even if you apply to a job that might not necessarily be something you're qualified for or you don't have what we're looking for, we're still going to reach out to you and talk to you because we do not like to turn people away. We will refer you to another recruiter because I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us, and we'll even send you to different hiring managers. So we are really dedicated to finding you a position. So yeah, just definitely apply. And we suggest that you, like everyone mentioned earlier, that you participate in different groups while you're here. You make a difference because if that is on your resume, it really makes you stand out.
So I think my advice was probably reiterated 12 times by the panel during the course of this already. So it really is just take advantage of the time you have and don't be a passive participant in anything, no matter how hard that could be sometimes. I know people aren't always naturally active, out in front. You got to go out of your comfort zone. and you will, you know, find ways to use your strengths and use even potentially your shortcomings to your advantages. So just don't be a passive participant in life.
Yes, all of that. And also, my best advice is really make your resume stand out. At Phoenix Contact, like I said, we're looking at your resumes first before we see anything else. So make that resume really stand out. And when you're doing your video interview or any interviews with any company, really let your personality show and your passion for what you're doing. So my advice is just to be yourself and be passionate about what you're doing.
And this is just to reiterate with what both of them said and basically kind of solidify it. Regardless of what your career path is or what you're going to go with, choose something where you can be you. Okay? Don't put yourself in a role where you're going to have to fake it the entire time. Okay? You're going to hate yourself, and you're going to make it hard for those that you work with. So be you. Be the real you.
And to add to that, I think whoever you're interning with will know you're faking it. Put that out. They will know you're faking it. And so for us, it's you know, everything that was said, but the most important thing in terms of making the most of it is do the work, right? Do the work. Don't. This is an opportunity to showcase your skills in front of folks who are in the profession you hopefully want to be in. So do the work, make the most of it, but primarily don't cheat yourself by not putting the work in and meeting deadlines, or just you have to do the work. And that's all I can say.
Awesome. Well, we would love to open it up to all of you in the room, those of us online as well. So any questions for any of the panelists? Yes, Zach.
How do you integrate the technology that we have with,
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you integrate the social media aspect and other technology aspects that are important in the growing world today into your internship programs?
Yeah.
We utilize Discord predominantly, and that is a big way for us to not only communicate with our schools, but to actually ensure that our games are being played. Platforms that are out there in this space are new, and there are some that are better than others. We've learned that if we communicate with schools through Discord, we have coaches and captains that have access to Discord channels within our server. We're able to minimize our defaults and our games not being played, which globally it's about 40% of esports games never get played at the high school and collegiate level. We're down to about 10% default because we are overly communicating with those schools through Discord to make sure. As a nonprofit, we do utilize social media in marketing and putting out our YouTube and Twitch and all of our streams, but we also need to be careful in what our interns have access to in terms of messaging and really, again, the integrity of our entity. So it's a balance, but we utilize social media, Discord specifically. We are very tech driven in the platforms that we are utilizing, so it's integrated in everything that we do.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Yes, so everything that we do is also integrated with social media. We actually have a social media internship with our marketing department coming this summer. So if you're into social media, that's kind of your career path, that would be a great one for you. All of our social media for our company is heavily regulated by our marketing team. So if you're an intern, you're going to be working with that. But one thing to keep in mind is your personal social media and making sure that that is professional. A lot of companies do look at your LinkedIn and your Instagram and what you're posting publicly. So that's something to keep in mind too while you're applying to internships and professional jobs. We are looking into what you're posting online because there may be some projects that you're working on with us that you're going to be posting on your personal LinkedIn that other people are going to see.
Admittedly, I don't have a lot in this domain just because of the nature of our business. We don't share a lot. But with the exception of things like marketing and job postings and things like that. So we have a relatively standard social media and technological profile. Now, behind the scenes, there's a lot of collaborative tools, things like that we use more in the intra perspective, more so than the external. And then all of the fun engineering and technological integrations that happen at the development level as well. But that's not necessarily seen from the outside by design.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Heavy ditto. Partly, part of the reason why on a social presence, you don't see a whole lot from government, regardless of which department you're talking about, is because there's a lot of personal information that government represents. So, yes, there is a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page for Naval Sea Logistics Center. And we will post every once in a while that we have openings and things like that. But as far as our internal workings of that nature and things of that nature, no, you won't ever see that. Internally, we use a lot of things like Teams and other collaboration devices. We use a lot of developing computer languages. We use tools like Tableau. We use CAD. We use a lot of technology to do our work on a day-to-day basis. It's just not publicized. And that's by design to keep other people safe. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I want to just thank each and every one of you for coming and presenting today on the panel. It was great to hear all your insights. And students, if you have questions for the panelists and want to talk individually here, we're going to end the session today because we're at time. But you can come up, talk to some of the panelists, and engage with them. This evening, we have a Gear Up for Grad School event, 5 to 6 p.m. So if you're interested in graduate school, please come back into this room, hang out with us. Tomorrow afternoon from 4 to 6, we have an awesome alumni networking event. We have some HU alumni coming back to talk with you about their experience as an HU student and what it's like being in their careers in graduate school right now. So please feel free to come because we also have some refreshments and snacks. So hang out with us. But let's give a round of applause for our panelists and thank them for being here. Awesome. Thank you all so much.